Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 406 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our third book is out. It's called From Letters to Leaders, Leveraging Your Fraternity or Sorority Experience to Land Your Dream Job. You can go and pick that up on Amazon today. And special news for everybody who's listening right now. We have 2 new books that are going to be released within the next 2 months, and you are the first person to hear about it, so nobody else even knows about it. It's incredible. You get so much great insider information here on the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about accounting, and what's interesting is that I was actually an accounting major in college, and I started off as a staff accountant at a technology company in New York City. And then I worked my way up to director of finance for a $25 million Cisco reseller that had offices all over the world. But here's the thing, the day-to-day life of doing actual accounting, the debits and the credits, literally was taking all of the creativity away from my body slowly. And then that's really when I decided I needed to be an entrepreneur and build my own companies. Because you know what they say about, creative accountants, those are the people that end up in jail. So you don't want to be that guy. And so the accounting background definitely helps me as a business owner. So just understand that everything in life happens to you for a reason. You might make some changes in your profession over time, a series of left turns, a series of right turns, but ultimately you're going to use your education and your experience to build a better platform for you in the future. So nothing is wasted. You're going to use all of your skills and talents, I promise. Now, let's tell you a little bit more about our next guest. With an MBA in Finance and Management from Rutgers and a Bachelor of Business Administration in Accountancy from CUNY, City University of New York, Baruch College, Alina Trigub has worked as a tax accountant at Ernst Young, as well as in the private accounting sector. She also has 20 years of successful technology experience. Alina has also worked for TF Management Group LLC, which is a private equity real estate fund management company where she was the head of investor relations. Alina is an active real estate investor with a concentration on the commercial real estate buy and hold strategy. Alina offers her expert and in-depth experience to support investor education through personalized one-on-one coaching, articles, animated video series, and presentations as a sought-after speaker at numerous real estate events. Alina lives in New Jersey with her loving husband and 2 amazing kids. Welcome to the show, Alina.
Michael, thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Listen, I am very excited that you're here because, we don't really often talk about investing and making money after college necessarily. And I think this is a really important strategy that you're talking about. I was actually talking to a college student recently about this issue because she had recently graduated from college and she felt that the world really wasn't fair to her generation, meaning that, the stock market, got hit. And so a lot of the investments were down. The job market is particularly tough. You have wars going on all over the world, and that we can go into that forever and ever, go down that rabbit hole. So she just felt like it really just wasn't fair to her. And my response was, hey, real estate, real estate where I live in Nashville has been steadily increasing in value for the last 20 years. If you graph it, for the last 20 years, people have been making money in real estate consistently. It's this weird area where really nothing impacts the real estate here in Nashville. It just keeps going up and the sky is the limit. So I encouraged her to look into it. And so I think this episode comes at the right time where a lot of Gen Z college students are trying to figure out what is the next move? How do I make it to, let's say, middle class, upper class? How do I get some additional income with all of the money and investments that I have? Because they feel like, hey, it's really hard sometimes to get into the real estate game, especially right now when you have high interest rates and the cost of housing is very high. So we'll get into all of that stuff. I think that's going to be really fascinating. But, let's give a little bit of background. I know you're originally from Russia. Talk to us a little bit about what made you and your mother decide to come to the United States and attend Baruch College.
Thank you, Michael, again for a great introduction and for having me on your podcast. When my mom and I decided to immigrate, it was after numerous anti-Semitic attacks in the former Soviet Union where we lived, and we realized that there was no future for us and there was no future for me. I was at the point where I was about to go to college. And so we decided that was the right time to immigrate and start life over in a place where there wasn't that much anti-Semitism, although both you and I know that the times are changing. But, I'm older now, have a lot more experience, and I can say that, this is my home, and God bless America. It's the best country in the world, for sure. But coming to the United States, being poor and having nothing in our pockets, my mom and I both decided that we wanted to get US degrees. Because I didn't have any, and she wanted to have a US-based degree. So that meant that both of us had to get some sort of odd jobs around our college schedule to get by on a living. And in terms of deciding what we wanted to do, my mom decided on social study, and for me, the choice was on something that would help me make a lot of money, because when you're poor, you want to make a lot of money. So I was not an exception, and someone just threw it at me, hey, you're good with numbers, you're going to be good with accounting. And I kind of went along with that. I researched schools. Baruch was affordable, and it offered a great business degree. And in general, it offered three things: quality education, affordable pricing, and then the extensive network of well-positioned alumni across the tri-state area. What can be better? So I decided on Baruch, and it was an amazing choice. I actually had my first job offer a semester before I graduated. So you can imagine how hard it was to continue finishing that last semester with having the degree.
That's great. I love that they had a job waiting for you as soon as you graduated. That's how you know you made the right choice with the college, is that you had a job waiting for you immediately at graduation. I think that's fantastic. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about the CUNY system. My father is a graduate of the CUNY system. He also came to this country from Israel, of course, after he served in the Israeli army. Then he came to the United States and went to CUNY and got his degree and became extremely successful. Okay, that's the understatement of the year.
Yep.
But yeah, I can't say enough good things about CUNY. It really did work, and he went to CUNY for the same reasons that you did: quality education and low price. I mean, that's really what it came down to. The network, I don't know. I don't know if he realized how big the network was when he was a student, but I think he came to appreciate it later in life, that there
I
were
was
a lot of
impressed.
benefits.
When I heard about some of the amazing graduates from Baruch,
Mm.
not just in accounting, with other degrees, it was absolutely incredible. And it served me really, really well throughout my corporate career. So I'm really grateful to Baruch and CUNY in general for the
Yeah,
education they provided.
that's a great experience. And you're also a former Ernst Young tax consultant. Talk to our audience a little bit about how that experience helped to shape who you are today.
So working for one of the big five in my time, now it's big four, but at that time it was big five. It was an interesting experience, because it's one thing to get education in accounting, and it's completely different thing to actually work in a field.
Mhm.
And I'm very grateful that my career started at Ernst Young, because, if I were to use the common language, it's more or less at that time was a 24/7 operation. You literally have people working around the clock to make sure that all of the tax returns are done, and done on time, and done with quality. And most people think that, hey, April 15th everything is done. No, that there are actually tax deadlines throughout the year. Even now there's another tax deadline coming in this month. We're in October. So I learned how to manage a large workload and how to work under a lot of pressure. And that experience served me well down the road, not only because I was able to manage a lot more workload than other people that didn't go through that pressure, but also I knew how to manage it well, and it generated an increasingly large number of calls from the recruiters, headhunters, and various companies companies just wanting to get the people from the big four, big accounting.
Yeah, there's so many jobs out there in accounting. I mean, if you have an accounting background, you'll never be unemployed because there's always going to be work for you to do. I mean, and my father was the one who pushed me into accountancy because he just showed me a copy of the New York Times in the help wanted section, and it started with A, right? All the A jobs. It's in alphabetical order, and the accounting, like it's forever. I mean, there's as many jobs, as you want. So it's really nice to have all of those choices, I think, in life. And I think it served you well today too, which is
Absolutely.
great. Yeah. Now, so after the accounting at Ernst Young, you actually moved into information technology and that whole sector for your career. How did that part of your life professionally, how did that compare to doing tax work?
For me, it was like a blessing in the sky. So I tried public accounting, and then I tried private because I thought maybe it's the public accounting that I don't really like. After spending just as much time in the private world, I realized it wasn't the public accounting, it was just taxes and accounting altogether that I didn't really care much. And it sounds like, Michael, you can relate to that
Oh,
experience to a degree as well.
yeah.
So I decided that I needed to find something else. And I fell into this job literally where I had to test accounting and financial applications. And, someone with that background, it was a lot easier for me to test this application. That led to a 20 plus years successful career in information technology where I've had many different roles. So I started in the quality assurance as a tester, testing applications, but then gradually I moved into business analysis. I've done product management, project management, and other roles. But, I learned so much about technology, and I learned to enjoy and appreciate what I've done. And I also learned that a lot of the jobs had the skill set that was transferable from one to another, and they may sound different, business analyst, product manager, and so forth, but you need to understand there is a core skill set that you can take from one job to another, not between all of the jobs, of course, but between some of the jobs within similar industry or within a similar subset of the jobs as well, where you can move fields, you can move industries, and the sky is the limit if you want to try different things. And they say that an average person changes their professions about 3 times. I think I'm on my number 4 or 5 at this point, and I'm still enjoying it. Just like I enjoyed my IT journey, I am enjoying my real estate journey right now.
That's fantastic. I love it. So how did you go from information technology now to starting this real estate journey? How did that happen?
So even though I moved into the information technology world, the former tax accountant kept thinking of me because, as my career was progressing, so as my tax bracket. Mine and my husband, I got married, we had kids. And so I kept thinking, while I don't want to reduce our tax brackets, I do want to lower our tax implications. So I kept thinking that I need to find a way to lower tax implications. And in my search, real estate kept coming up as one of the best solutions to this situation where you can get a lot of tax deductions. So finally, about 8 years ago, I decided to take action, did my research, and started investing in real estate. And I was amazed of, number one, how much it's there to learn, and I'm still learning to this day. And second of all, how many tax benefits real estate provides. So when you buy a property or when you invest passively, you don't only generate the income from that property, but you also get the tax benefits from your investment. And obviously it's not that black and white in a lot of cases, but without going into more details, real estate provides you both the tax benefits and the passive income that you're potentially looking for through some of the passive investments. And so I started investing passively, and then while investing passively, I realized that most people around me have never heard about this passive way to invest in real estate. And I decided that I wanted to spread the word and help other people do the same thing that I'm doing, generate passive income and save on taxes. So I started my own company and started educating people around me. And I was growing this part-time, and then pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, I was one of the first people that got the pink slip. And at that point, my husband and I sat down, and we looked at where we were, and we realized that I didn't have to go back to work because of all the efforts that I've put into it in the last 4 or 5 years. So from that point on, I became an entrepreneur, but then I'm an extensive networker, and at that point, that opportunity to join the private equity firm and lead the investor relations came about out of nowhere. And again, I took my transferable skills from my IT role and transferred to the private equity. It was amazing opportunity. I learned a lot. I excelled in it. I did a great job, but I kept thinking that I just want to concentrate on real estate. I don't want to do private equity. I don't want to do anything else. Just want to have my own investments and my own project. So it was tough, but I left the private equity firm at the beginning of this year with the sole purpose, which I'm now doing, is just concentrating on buying and holding my own properties. So here I'm at, with real estate, doing real estate full time, but along the way, I do many other things on the side, and it's exciting, and I love this new journey of my own, new career, if you will, of being an entrepreneur.
Good for you. That sounds like a huge success story. That's a lot of fun. I think when we think about investing and building wealth, and that could be for ourselves, that could be for our families, our wife, or our husband, children, whatever. How does investing, let's say in the stock market, how does that compare to real estate? Because I think people are also making money in the stock market, and maybe they're confused as to which might be a better vehicle for them.
Great question, Michael. So from my perspective, there's no better or worse. I believe in a true diversification, and a lot of people start their career as a W-2 professionals, which is totally fine. And I always encourage folks to take advantage of all of the perks that they're given by the companies, whether it's a match of the 401k or opening of IRAs and so forth. So always take advantage of it. And that allows you to invest on Wall Street, invest in the stock market, do that. But by the same token, in order to have a well-balanced portfolio, in addition to that stock market investments, you also need to have investments outside of the stock market. So whenever the market's going through the certain fluctuations like we're experiencing now, your investments outside of the stock market are completely decoupled from what's going on Wall Street.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I like that diversification strategy. I think that way, if, let's say the housing market suddenly gets hit for some reason, then you have other investments in other places. I think that sounds really smart to me. You mentioned the 401k and IRA. If you're a college student and let's say you're a recent graduate, you end up as a W-2 employee right out of college, which I think is fairly common. What should the college students know about investing in their 401k or maybe a self-directed IRA? Should they be maximizing, let's say 15% of their salary into the 401k? What's your advice with all of that?
Sure. So full disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. So everything I'm stating is just based on what I know and what I have personally done for myself and my family and my clients. But in general terms, yes, I think they should take advantage of the 401k. Again, all the advantages and perks that companies offer, the students should take advantage of. As far as self-directed IRA, so most people assume that self-directed IRA is nothing more than self-directing it on Wall Street. I'll let the students that are listening to a podcast on a little secret. Self-directed IRA literally means that you can self-direct it outside of the stock market. So that's what most people do not know, which entails that you need to open an account not with the brokerages that only serve Wall Street, but with a custodian that allows you for self-direction outside of the stock market. And the simple way to find them is just by Googling custodian that allows self-direction, and tons of companies will come up. You open that account, and it just like the regular Wall Street IRA, this account can be either Roth or traditional. The choice is yours, and it's based on the requirements. The requirements are absolutely the same, but otherwise it allows you to invest in real estate as well as other alternatives. And there are such things as gold, oil, working interest, real estate, and there are many more. People just don't know it exists because it's not highly publicized. You see Wall Street all over the place, but nobody talks about alternatives. And so that's been my life purpose, to spread the word and share it with students and with adults, to let them know that there's this other world outside of the stock market that allows them to have a well-balanced portfolio down the road.
Nice. So with the self-directed IRA, you could potentially invest in passive real estate, essentially,
Correct.
as opposed to Wall Street, for example.
Correct. Absolutely.
I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, with your first employer, you can direct whatever percentage of money to go to your 401k up to a certain maximum ceiling. You can't give your entire salary, let's say, but you can direct it in terms of percentage. You want 15%, you want 10%, or 5% of your income to automatically go into your 401k, or perhaps a self-directed IRA, and then those funds could route to, let's say, a passive real estate investment, for example. So a lot of options here. Don't think that just Wall Street is the only place to invest your money. There's lots and lots of options. So I think that is really helpful to clear that up, because people just don't know. They just assume, well, the only thing I can invest in is stocks, because that's what is heavily pushed, I feel like, from employers, right?
I agree. I agree. And in terms of the percentage and deciding how much to invest, there are so many tools out there. You don't need to even think it out. You just need to use the tools, plug the numbers based on how much income you have and how much expenses you have. And that will help you to decide how much to invest. And keep in mind, the percentage doesn't have to be set in stone forever. You may start with 1, 2, or 3% and gradually increase it by 1% or by 2%, whatever makes sense. But make sure that you and your family are comfortable with that amount, and you're not struggling and looking for ways to add money to put food on the table. This should be the money that you have after all your necessary expenses.
Yeah, Alina brings up a really good point, which is that I think you really do need to start with something early on because of what's called time value of money. You have this compounding interest factor that happens over time. So the earlier you invest, the better it is. Even if it's only 1% of your salary, even if it's only 2% of your salary, start early, because you're going to get a head start by doing it. And now you're earning interest on the interest that you've earned. So that is really, really important. And so I would have to, for example, in my life stage, I would have to invest more money, and you can invest in a lower amount of money, but start 20 years earlier, and we might end up in the same place. Okay. So that's really, really important to understand. All right. So, Alina, what is your advice to college students regarding debt? Because I do see a lot of college students getting into trouble with things like credit cards, with things like really large student loans, and other forms of debt. So what is your thoughts on that area for our listeners?
Sure, Michael. Excellent question. So there are several options that students have when it comes to either student loan debt or credit cards. First of all, just like with investing, they need to reevaluate their budget and see how much money they have available. Maybe there is a potential to earn more. Maybe they're up for a promotion at work, or maybe if they look at the list of their expenses, maybe outside of the necessary ones, there are some expenses that are optional and could be either eliminated or lowered. So that will help them to decide how they can find more ways to pay off that loan sooner. Second of all, when it comes to credit card debt, they should continuously look for lower credit card interest rates. Maybe they're paying 18% now. Look for 15, look for 10. See what options are out there. You never know when that lower interest rate will come up, but always take advantage of it if it makes sense, knowing your circumstances, and that will help you to reduce the amount of the monthly payments you're paying and the amount of the interest that you have to pay. And third of all, there is also an option to have an income-driven repayment plan. So again, if let's say your income is so much right now, you take 10% of your income. But then if let's say you move from a lower income to a higher income, from let's say somewhere Midwest to New York City, within the companies typically adjust your salary. They increase it because you're moving to another area. And maybe that also allows you to increase the percentage of the loan that you're repaying because you're getting paid more, but try to keep the expenses at the same level or close to the level you had before. So that also allows you to have that option to pay based on the income that you're making. And then just do your research with ChatGPT available right now. Ask for suggestions, see what other ways are out there to repay the loans sooner. Or there are also some personal loans that allow you to maybe compile both loans, the credit card and the student debt together at a lower rate, and maybe repay it sooner. So that's another possibility to pay it as well.
Yeah, a lot of good options there. I like that. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Now, I have to tell you, I love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. And every time I get to New York City, I want to try a new restaurant because there's new restaurants opening every single day. So I'm wondering, for you, what's a great restaurant that I need to try in the New York City area?
So if you want to stick to the city, I would say, well, first of all, my family loves pizza, probably from my college days. I don't know, all of us love pizza, including our kids. So if you want to stick to New York City, I would go to Uncle's Paul. If you're willing to cross the bridge and come to Jersey, then I would say try Brooklyn's coal brick oven pizza. That's the best in our area.
I love that you and your family love pizza. I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with good slices of pizza, and it's the best in the world, I tell you. In New York City and New Jersey too. New Jersey has some very, very good pizza as well. But I tell you what, once you travel outside of that area, like you come to like Nashville, Tennessee, they don't even know what good pizza is. Okay. They don't
You
even
gotta come to New
understand.
York. Yeah.
You have to be in New York. Like that's the
Right.
place to get it, you know? And
Exactly.
it tastes different. And to me, now that I live in Nashville, everything is like an imposter until I get to New York and I'm like, ah, okay, now that we have the real pizza.
That's
Well,
the
that's a
place
lot
to
of fun.
come.
I'll have to go and check out those spots next time I'm in New York. I'll let you know what I think of their pizza. I'm sure it's going to be much better than anything I have locally. That's for sure. So, if our student listeners, if they want to bring you in to come and speak on their college campus to start talking about, investing, to talk about, financial literacy, and all of these really, really important topics for college students, where should they go to connect with you in order to bring you in as a speaker?
If they want to find me on social media, they can find me on LinkedIn, or they can type my name, alinatrigub.com, or my website for my real estate business, which is semofinancial.com.
Very good. So SEMO Financial, SEMO Financial.com, or you can look her up on LinkedIn. It's Alina, Alina, and last name is Trigub, Trigub. And go and look her up on LinkedIn and connect with her there. Alina, this has been absolutely fantastic. I love talking about financial literacy. I think it's one of those things that's kind of ignored, unfortunately, by many college campuses. And sometimes college students make costly mistakes that they have to pay for many, many years after they graduate. And we don't want to see any students make mistakes. So I appreciate all the work that you do.
It's my pleasure to help, Michael. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much. And if to our listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Alina, what I want you to do is I want you to like it on social media, and I want you to share it with other college students on your campus that can use the help and resources when it comes to financial literacy. It's been great seeing you on this episode. We look forward to seeing you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.